We're about a little over a month before the first day of summer, and we are experiencing some really beautiful weather, nice warm temperatures, especially over this past weekend. And I'm very happy to be joined by Global Saskatoon Meteorologist Peter Quinlan. Thank you so much for joining me today.
Thanks for having me, Abby.
Of course, it's always great talking to you about what we can expect from the conditions. And now that we're fully
Mhm.
into spring and the nice weather, what can we expect? We've had a couple of very sunny, very beautiful days out, but it has been quite windy. We haven't had a ton of rain either. So, what can we expect from these couple of months heading into the summer?
So it looks like we've really kicked off May on a pretty warm note, and we'll probably see some more hot days later this week and then potentially again next week. The kind of medium range models are hinting at a bit of a cool down after that, a little bit maybe below the average high in Lloydminster. But the overall trend in summer, meteorological summer is June, July, and August, is expected to be a hotter than normal summer and potentially a drier than normal summer as well, although precipitation is a little bit harder to predict in a long range scale.
Yes, I was going to ask about that. I think that's the most important thing on people's minds is whether we're going to experience that rain. Fire season, unfortunately, has already begun. We have seen wildfires across, especially in Alberta with Grand Prairie. What are we looking to? I know you just said that it's hard to predict long-term precipitation forecast, but in the kind of short term, what are we expecting? Will we see some rain? I know there was a little bit over the weekend, but not a lot.
We don't have any major precipitation expected, at least in the near term. So the next 7 or so days in Lloydminster looks like as we get toward the middle of the month, we could see a little bit. But this is the time of year when farmers and for the fire danger, we want to get some substantial moisture in the soil. We're not seeing any in the forecast. And unfortunately, this could be a trend we see through the end of spring and into summer. Typically, we see what we call upper low pressure system season in June, where we get these systems that have a lot of moisture that move in. So hopefully we get those substantial June rains. We're definitely going to need that as we head into the summer growing and fire season. So we will be watching that. At this point, it does look like it will be drier than normal. So it would be something, a good time to be preparing for those drier than normal conditions and be preparing for the possibility of a wildfire that can break out at a moment's notice, as we've been seeing across parts of Alberta and Saskatchewan already.
Yes, absolutely. It's always great to be prepared, just in case an event like a wildfire does break out, because it, like you said, it happens incredibly fast.
Mhm.
So it is great to be prepared. And now, finally, I think the biggest thing in Lloyd is the wind. It is always very, very windy here. We're used to the wind, but it's also been windy out in Edmonton and other areas of the provinces. So, what are we expected to see in terms of the wind? Is this going to be a windier season this year?
Spring is usually the windiest season of the year, along with fall, and so it will likely be quite windy later this week. We're talking Wednesday, Thursday. It'll be these warm southerly winds Wednesday, then shifting to a cooler northwest wind on Thursday, gusts of 50 to 60 kilometers per hour. So the short answer is yes, it will be quite windy. And then as we kind of settle into summer, those winds diminish a little bit as we get into an overall warmer pattern. But it's just because we're transitioning between the cooler air and the warmer air that we often see windier conditions in the spring.
Wonderful. Well, it was great as always talking to you and getting the know into what we can expect for the rest of spring and into summer once we head into June. So thank you so much for joining me once again, and I'm sure we'll talk soon about the summer months.
Sounds good. Yes, thanks for having me, Abby.